We are going to be watching, though, Appreciating Pick, and then I can't read the rest of the name because it's so long, versus Daybreak.
It's appreciating pickups,
Oh,
apparently. I've
thank you.
just clicked into it.
Thank you very
Yeah,
much.
it should be interesting to see. I also find it so wild to click on low ink players' profiles and see 2500 XPJP. It's like, what is this? This is like, I get it. I get that the skill has increased that much since Splatoon 2, but like 2500 used to be a big deal back in the day. It's still a big deal. Don't misinterpret that. It's still a big deal, but it used to be a very different thing.
Hmm. Well, a bit of context for this set. Appreciating Pickups is seated 22nd, while Daybreak is seated 4th in this tournament. So obviously there's a clear favorite to win. And also, Daybreak has this player in their roster that caught my eye. I'm not sure if they will be subbing out or if they'll actually be playing, but
Grace!
Grace. So, for those of you
Grace
that don't know,
Splatoon?
Grace, co-director of IPL and head TO of Swimmer Sync, obviously not involved with Low Ink as much, but all I'm saying is I'm not asking chat to riot or the rest of Low Ink to riot, but if Daybreak does win this set, it does feel staged,
Yeah, a little bit, little bit.
a little bit
But
staged.
also, Grace is one of my favorite people in the scene, and getting to see Grace is always so exciting. And
Oh,
I
so
don't know
we'll
the
allow
last
it.
time I got to see Grace play the video game, so deeply exciting to me. I remember when me and Grace were both players playing in low-level tournaments against each other on Junior. So, oh, how the times have changed.
And now we might be casting Grace. Well,
Yeah,
although I highly doubt it. And just to be clear, this is all a joke. This is not staged.
no,
But
not at
if
all. But
but
we
if
do love
Daybreak
Grace.
if Daybreak wins, I will be raising some eyebrows.
I
Um,
won't.
all right.
Their
Well,
results speak for themselves throughout this tournament. They've won 7 out of 8 sets. They've won 18 out of 24 maps. They've they've proved their worth so far.
yeah, definitely, definitely. Appreciating pickups. They're in for a rough match, just based off of the statistics and the seeding. We will be starting out on Splat Zones, Umami Ruins, which, Nox, I hope that satisfies you because that's
It
a
does. I love
Splatoon
dual
3
zone maps.
staple map. There we go. We've broken the curse of Mako and Hagglefish and
I know Hagglefish is also
Inkblot.
fine. Just Mako and Inkblot. Those are the only
All right,
two
all
I
right,
have things
all right.
against.
Well, I'm really excited. This is one of my
Me
favorite
too.
maps, both to play and watch, because as you said, double zones maps are a lot more interesting because you have, of course, if you control the entire map, you have control of the zone. But when you're retaking, you can either try to approach both zones and kind of divvy up your team and divide and conquer, or you can just, if you're struggling so hard, you can just send all of them to one side, try to overwhelm that side, but you leave yourself open to a potential flank, which can be devastating.
Yes. It's always an exciting one. It's also a really great crab tank map. If these
Mhm.
last two teams we just saw were on it, we would have seen ridiculously effective crab tanks in all honesty, just because it's so strong here, in my opinion. Um, so I hope we see some crab tanks. I expect to see slightly fewer reef sliders here generally, just because it's
Yes,
a little less impactful on those dual zones.
of course, of course. And in you mentioned it before, the reef slider change or nerf in the latest
Yes,
patch has kind of ruined that style of play where you just
which
pop
is
reef
great.
slider to the middle of the zone and instantly flip it or even cap it.
Which was
Um,
very abundant in low ink previously. I'm very
yes,
glad to see less of it. You
me too.
saw we didn't see as much of it at high level or top level generally. But it was so
No,
effective at this level that it was hard to blame anyone for doing it.
you would see it. Well, I do agree that it is a bit of a crutch play when you're kind of desperate. You don't really know what to do, and or you need to buy some more time, so you just do it and you apply a 50-point penalty to the enemy team. But as you said, it is quite the crutch play, and the fact
Yes.
that this level of play can't do that anymore um,
It's great.
heavily incentivizes the creation of other plays, or honestly just getting better, which I know is blunt, but that's the
But
best way to win.
It is. I mean, improvement's always the goal at any level of play, is a big key factor there. There is always a way to be better.
Yes, definitely, definitely.
Which
I
is
will
so
say,
cool.
I'm just a little bit biased because the one reason why I wouldn't mind that Reef Slider play of now we can say of the old days is because my favorite player in this game is this Japanese player that exclusively plays blue dapples or like the Reef Slider dapples.
Oh, your guy got nerfed.
Yeah, Nispa. And that guy he won an area cup finally after placing top 3 or 4 or 2 for months. He won it this past month.
Nice.
And yeah, that warmed my heart. And then they nerfed him, and now I'm very angry.
They sensed he was getting too powerful.
Maybe.
That could have been it. It's
Well,
also, I think, that we were probably, as somebody that generally places badly in X rank, because I'm bad at I'm bad at playing the video game. Pretty good about knowing about it. Bad at playing it. You would see a lot of Reef Slider cheese in lower X rank. A lot of it,
right.
in its best for casual and competitive alike. Probably that it's not what it was.
Well, we're talking about Reef Slider a lot, but now that we've mentioned the patch once again, I want to talk about Dynamo and Heavy.
Yeah.
Now we haven't seen any of them, and although Heavy I get can be a little bit harder to place in a comp and to learn an entire different playstyle with a different kind of backliner, although it's not really
It's
a
a
backline.
midline, yeah.
Yeah.
Midline anchor is how I usually define it.
I'd even compare it to an EO Splash. It just paints around. It paints the entire map for you. It does so really well. But
It'll
anyways,
give you 20 wave breakers that you don't care about too much.
yeah. I mean, at least they're there.
They're there. Imagine if it had a good special, different content, different situation.
Yes. Well, what I was going to accentuate though was the Dynamo. I feel like this map could be really great for Dynamo,
Yeah.
and that it really surprises me that we haven't seen any. But look, we're starting the game. Maybe we'll see one now, Nox.
It would be cool. It's definitely no. We're gonna see a well string though.
I'll take it.
And a heavy?
Oh, and a heavy. All right, I'll just
Okay.
eat my words. Nox, you open up this game for me. I need a minute.
Very interesting to see a heavy and a pencil on the same comp. Very intriguing to me. I would actually expect heavy and dynamo way before that, personally, actually. But should be just an obscene amount of paint coming out of Daybreak, which you love to see for their carbon player, quite frankly. Appreciating pickups, going to have a lot of really incredible chip damage coming out of the Dreadringer, coming out of the Blaster, coming out of the Wellstring. So if they manage to get those numbers going at the same time, it'll work out exceptionally well for them. But they have to find a way through the oppressive paint that Daybreak is going to be laying down.
Yeah, this Splat really needs to be the one to lay down the paint. And look, these two picks are great, and it's just a great start for appreciating pickups to take this map as they do. And ooh, pushing that. Okay, never mind. Pushing that heavy head on is a fantastic idea, apparently.
Apparently,
As
if your ghillies on the carbon, it's great.
Yes. Well, a ghillie here, sharking, getting caught out. First ever useful.
Love that point
usage
sensor.
of point sensor. But
Well, it's
Daybreak,
useful whenever there's a carbon around.
True. But look, Daybreak, they just have control of the painting aspect of this match, and I don't think
In
that
an
Reef Slider will
obscene
amount to
degree.
anything.
Like,
Well,
52
not-
Gal paints plenty for itself, so they're really able to just focus on laying down turf for that carbon to truly just run around and be a nightmare for appreciating pickups.
Yeah, but Daybreak just in their faces, popping all of these specials. They used the Wave Breaker and also the Whale earlier, and with the 52 Gal jumping back in, I don't see a way that appreciating pickups can break these defenses unless the Splashdown gets a pick and it opens up the game and the heavy disappears. Okay, suddenly
But there's
it's a
still
bit
the
more
Snipe
open.
Rider to fend with, and able to find the pick on Juice. Now gonna have to back off from this Blaster, not gonna be able to quite do it in time, but the Carbons jumped in. Terrible news if you're appreciating pickups.
Definitely, this carbon needs to go down right now. There you go, Juice gets that pick. They need to neutralize him with only one player alive. That is going to be game, hopefully. All right, there you go.
Yeah,
it's going to be
I
game
see-
for Daybreak.
It is, and I see why Daybreak's doing so well in this tournament. That's such a unique comp. It's so long ranged. It has two really good aggressive weapons. It's just going to be a nightmare to push into because the Carbon's going to be their first line. Then you're going to run into a 52 gal. Then you're running into a heavy Splatling. And then if that all hasn't managed to take you down, you're in a pencil. Like, it's brutal. It's brutal. They have turf control. That's a solid comp. It's interesting. It's very different, but it's working great.
Look, this heavy and Sniper Rider core is actually what won Area Cup a couple days ago or a few days ago.
I did not know that.
Well, a couple days ago might have been a week ago. I'm not too sure. Time is difficult.
Time is so difficult.
However, the heavy penning this much is so good, especially if you have a weapon like a 52 gal on your team. I know the team that won Area Cup was running heavy, Sniper Rider, and then a brush and a blaster, if my memory doesn't fail me. And to me, this 52 gal is acting like the blaster in that comp. It's swimming around very freely, and it can pop out and get a kill in what, 10 frames, not even. 52 gal's time to kill is
they upped its velocity
fast.
a couple patches ago in a ridiculous way.
Yeah, and the first two shots are really, really fast. So the way that Daybreak is setting up their front line is very, very good and very oppressive. And as we saw, appreciating pickups couldn't really break through that paint because their comp in and of itself can't really paint even in a burst. So moving up into a place in the map where Daybreak has control over is going to be very, very hard. Mm-hmm. And this is why I really like this pick of Rainmaker, Undertow, Spillway.
Yes.
You gotta paint your path, but you don't have to break through a line in a map to get to the objective.
Absolutely, I completely agree. I love this coming out from them, especially with a Wellstring. This is the place where Wellstring is best by a mile, probably. Mm-hmm. Rainmaker's its state, Rainmaker's its mode. It will have that hammer to help do quick pops. It can do quick pops in and of itself, so that Ultra Stamp can also just be used to clear space. And I love the Toxic Mist coming out here. I think Toxic Mist is so great at helping stall when teammates go down.
For sure.
And I still like that point since they're coming out against the Carbon. I can't lie.
What I don't like is one mist and two sensors in an auto bomb. In Rainmaker, I get that you have the Wellstring, but that is going to be very hard to fight a pop. Oh, and the blaster going down in 10 seconds or 15 is not good. Big Bubbler getting popped by the Zimmy, but they go down as well. It's kind of a stalemate right now as the sloshing machine goes down, and finally Daybreak has entire control of how they want this these next 20 seconds to go, as Max Mix just runs to the pedestal and gets the checkpoint cleared.
Yeah. It's one of those things of like, you always want to make sure that you're kind of having players roll out on all sides on Rainmaker in opening, because you want to make sure that you're going to have everything painted, so they at least have to slow down to paint their feet as they go. Every extra second buys you like an hour in Rainmaker equivalent, I'd say.
Well, let me just say, I might have tunneled a little bit when I was talking about the sub-weapon comp for appreciating pickups, because I'm looking at Daybreak and they have a wall, 2 sprinklers, and a burst bomb, so it's not that much better. Anyways,
no, the sub-weapons are not great from either side.
No,
interesting comps, though. And the big bump, and the splashdown coming out here is pretty well timed, really keeping that Rainmaker from moving forward. And a great pick, another great pick coming out there from Lumi. And this should be an opportunity. Apparently not.
Or was I blind? Okay, no, I was blind. No, they did see it. Okay, never mind. Neon here, trying to run away, and as you said, the blaster played absolutely a key role in shutting down that push. But now they need to break into mid, and as we've said before, the painting power of Daybreak is so much better and allows for the 52 to just roam around, and even the Carbon to go in, get a pick, jump back. And look, I'm not too sure how appreciating pickups can break this barrier. There's a giant chasm in terms of painting capability between these two teams.
Well, and I think people in Splatoon 3 especially are a little more prone to forgetting how important turf is, at least compared to last game. which can be good. I'm glad that we're seeing more focus on fighting than in Splatoon 2. Low bar to set, but I'll happily set it. But it doesn't make having control less important, and one of the easiest ways to exhibit control in Splatoon is through that paint. I will say, really excellent opportunity here, just the heavy up, and that blaster's in a great spot to try and prevent them from being too annoying. They do clear the checkpoint, the mini's gone down in the process, but that's pretty survivable, especially with this splashdown coming out, finding one, almost a second. And the Wellstreak does get the lead, even if just by technicality.
Yeah, the trade, but the trade doesn't really do much. Well, maybe with Juice providing jumps and getting that pick, this could be a very, very good position for appreciating pickups. They do solidify that lead a little bit more, and that Tactic Cooler is so out of place. That is such a misplay by Daybreak, and appreciating pickups might even KO here. No, but they push to one.
Just about. And there's still a big bubbler.
There's still a big bubbler, and look, that's just okay. Not gonna be game.
We're gonna do this again
right today.
Oh no, this is just undertow spillway. That's what's happening right now. They did it. They got the push they needed. I'm glad that Juice managed to back off there. That's great to see. And now they just need to make sure that they're not letting Daybreak get away with a lot, which admittedly, the Wellstring should be pretty good at shutting down pushes, especially if they do end up in that elbow choke later on.
Yeah, I'm trying to think, what can they do? And to me, it always goes back to paint. But now I'm on the other side of the coin, where Daybreak just needs to set up their two frontline players so well. Oh, and here we go, Neon and Gillies getting one pick each. Although Gillies does go down, but this is a great opportunity if this hammer doesn't get a pick, which it doesn't. Cherry forced to back away, and suddenly Daybreak has full control of the map. Great pick from the Snipe Rider, and with this Killer Whale going off on the left side, Neon can try to fight this blaster. Doesn't really get the pick, but forces them to back away, and suddenly Daybreak has the entirety of this side of the map open with the blaster going down as well. This is a great opportunity, Nox.
It definitely is. The Wellstring and Mini gonna have to do a lot here to keep the Rainmaker from getting too close. The thing is, too close is a knockout, which, as we just saw, pretty hard to do on this map with where the spawn is. So even just keeping it at 15 here, getting this pop is a little bit risky. I get why they did it though, especially since they have the Mini up to help hold the other team back. 2-1. That is a great job there from appreciating pickups of taking advantage of the fact that they had pushed all the way to 1. They didn't need to rush. They played calm enough, and they made it work.
I will say, great usage of the Toxic Mist that you mentioned at the start, and we just saw there are 3 members of Daybreak ready to just burst down the doors, try to get that knockout in the last couple seconds of the game, activate the overtime. But with the barrage of bullets, of course, that's important. They couldn't. But the Toxic Mist, on top of that, they can't really move in. That's just game over.
I think Toxic Mist should be used more often in Rainmaker than it probably is.
For chokes like that, very useful.
On Undertow and Humpback especially, it's just, they're so choke heavy. Toxic Mist does so much heavy lifting that even if you just have 2 players up and one of them has like a splat bomb or a suction bomb or a fizzy bomb to throw along with the mist, you can really kind of stall infinitely if you space correctly. Which, not fun for the other team to play into. Not great for the game, but it's very successful if you've gotten a good push.
Well, those were strengths and good plays from the side of appreciating pickups, but I also identified a bit of a misplay from Daybreak. When they pushed up, I'm pretty sure the Carbon pushed up too far in, and then backed out on the opposite side of the map, and they popped the Trizuka there. It would have been a lot better in my eyes to stay with the team and actually play with the Zuka from there, because you're not going to get any off angles from that far away. And I get that idea, but just that added pressure on the side that you're actually trying to push maybe could have helped out. Although, again, appreciating pickups, pushing to 1, that's just a very difficult lead to break.
It is. Pushing to 1 multiple times. You do I'm glad that they did eventually back off and go, okay, we're just not getting the knockout right now. That's fine. Because they did a great job of also keeping Daybreaks really slowed down in mid. Also, I feel like this is There's been daybreaks in Low Ink before that have won it, out of memory. I think this is like the second or third daybreak team we've seen. Not to get too off topic, but we've seen many a team named Daybreak.
Maybe it's the name. Maybe I don't know if it's the name or having an IPL staff on your.
No, this is the first
team
one
roster.
with one of those that I remember. So
All right. Well,
it might be the
then.
name.
Well, we're going into Clam Blitz Scorch Gorge, and you were talking about Clam Blitz earlier. I love Clam Blitz, and this is probably my favorite map for this game mode.
Yeah.
I assume that the comps won't look that much different, and that they don't. Exact same comp coming out from Daybreak. It seems like they're confident, and the same comp from Appreciating Pickups as well, which is great to see. They're sticking to what they like. But this is a very different game mode, and based off what we saw in the previous two games, I feel like Daybreak, with their stability and with their ability to kind of control the pace of the game, can probably come out on top. Although Appreciating Pickups, with how explosive they were in the previous game, they could also pull out a big surprise here, but only time will tell, Nox. And right now, it's just a skirmish in mid, trying to get specials, trying to get a pick. Ooh, Sniper Rider does go down, so this is a great opportunity for Appreciating Pickups.
Definitely. At a lot of levels of play, we just kind of see the first minute of Clam Blitz is very much so a fight for control of mid. It's very much so the norm, especially because you can't really push before you have the clams anyway. And right now we're seeing that issue coming into play for Appreciating Pickups as three members tried to move forward. Just Cyrene left. Does get picked off before they can jump out by Gillies there. Absolutely brutal of the Carbon.
Yeah, you were mentioning it's very common for the first minute to be kind of a skirmish. It's also really common for the first push to be kind of a fumble because you don't have clams. You use your specials to solidify your control of mid. So you go in and the enemy team just catches you off guard. You don't really have anything to push with. Unlike this Killer Whale, which seems to be doing wonders for them as they open up the enemy side of the map. Although only Oshama here is controlling this top right, but it seems like Appreciating Pickups is not too interested in defending their side of the map. They're so far back, but it doesn't really matter since Daybreak didn't have too many clams to push with.
Yeah, and Woomy doing a great job there, finding a pick onto the heavy, does get taken down in the process, just the wellstring left up, so there is a great chance here for Daybreak to really play cleanup, keep control, especially with Gillies being a nightmare in their home, quite frankly. Just making their life much more difficult. Push to 67, not fantastic, not bad. And the heavy and pencil will be able to hold down this mid zone long enough probably for the respawns.
Yeah, a couple more points on that counter. You love to see it. And might I say that while Gillies did get picked off on the enemy side of the map, they pulled so much attention. There were 3 players looking at them, which allowed the rest of Daybreak to push in with the little clams that they had, but still a little bit more on the counter, a little bit more points. And Appreciating Pickups are having a very, very hard time even pushing out of their spawn. Heavy there, trading and Neon getting picked off. Maybe this is their chance as Juice and Woomy just moving to mid, get another pick. As long as Gillies doesn't get the blaster player, this is looking promising for Appreciating Pickups.
It is. They're in a pretty solid position right now. They've got a couple power clams ready, but Gillies made it back in. Terrible news, everybody. Gillies is just going to be able to continue pulling off a lot of stunts like that and really stalling out the game. It's one of the advantages of having such a stable core of that pencil and of that splatling. It really makes it so that Gillies can go and, quite frankly, do whatever they want. Even got the power clam in. Down to 54 now. They're really chipping away at this quite slowly, but it's working pretty well for them.
Yeah, and this push is going to be a lot stronger, although short-lived. Not Appreciating Pickups has a chance, but they need a lot of clams, which, look, they do have right now. If they start this push right now, as Daybreak is still coming from spawn, they do get the pick onto Carbon. And look, this could be very dangerous. Cherry has a lot of clams here. They will take the lead, and if they don't get wiped out and lose control of mid instantly, this could be a game-winning push.
Yeah, that is a great point to highlight there. In Clam Blitz, a lot of what we just happened saw because Daybreak went, we want to get all the clams in we can, and they got kind of punished for it. Whereas if they had just maintained control like they had been doing, this situation probably wouldn't have happened.
Mm-hmm. But let me just say, Gillies, we're talking about this player quite a lot, but with merit, because they have been playing so well with this carbon, doing what it does best, which is kind of comparable to a fly. When you have a fly in your room and you open up a window, you try to get it out, but it doesn't go out. That's exactly what it does. It's going in and out of the window, so in and out of mid, in and out of your team, and every time it goes in, suddenly one of your teammates explodes, and you don't know why, and you can't find the enemy that actually did that. But now it seems to be Woomy that is taking all the picks as Neon takes the revenge kill, and a second one, trying to open up mid, almost got the pick onto the wellspring, and Gilly's here.
Unfortunate
I don't like that, and suddenly it's looking very losable for Daybreak once again, Nox.
It definitely is. Great job here with the Zuka of trying to find a way to break back in. The cooler coming out will be a little bit of a distraction, I guess, since the carbon can't even really go that way presently. They find the pick. Gillies finds a couple, but it's not going to be enough. The 52 gal going to try and jump in, I assume, but it's just not going to be able to accomplish it. Really great job there from Appreciating Pickups of picking up on the one big mistake Daybreak made of getting wiped out.
Yes, definitely. And look, my heart dropped when I saw the machine player from Appreciating Pickups miss one of the directs onto that player with the power clam. But they got the pick in the end. If they didn't, it would have been tragic because that would have just been game over. But look, this is, I'll say, more of a tied set than I thought it would be. I thought Daybreak, based on the statistics that you mentioned and the seeding that I did, they were just going to wash Appreciating Pickups. But look, I'm surprised, and I'm happily surprised.
Yes. I always love to see back and forth sets like this. This is definitely one where we could see a Game 5 coming out, which is so exciting. And Appreciating Pickups actually has the counter pick advantage at this point for Game 5 if we do get there, because they just won on Daybreak's counter pick.
Yes, they're in a great position. If I'm Daybreak right now, I am trying to look for a map, and this is the second time I've said this in 2 sets, but I'm looking for a map to set up my carbon player, because it seems like the enemy team doesn't really know how to act against it.
And perhaps this time Mako TC can be justified to me.
Yes, it could
I
be.
can't fault a carbon team for going there.
Yeah, no, I'm thinking ink blot. I'm thinking anywhere with ledges, and
Yeah.
I don't know, because as we saw in Splat Zone's Umami, the painting is not an issue. Every single day, Daybreak will have map control whenever they want to, and Appreciating Pickups can't really do anything to contest that.
Well,
However,
and also we can't go back to zones right now.
Yeah,
They're not allowed to
exactly.
pick that.
Exactly. So, I'm thinking TC might just be the closest thing after zones. Because
Yeah.
at least there's a set path for the objective. It's not like the other 2
Exactly.
modes where you kind of have to skirmish around.
The
So
free form versus the set modes.
exactly, and I feel like Daybreak, a team that likes the stability, or at least a comp that likes not getting thrown out of the loop out of nowhere, they would want that kind of game mode. But look, let's eat our words, because we're going back to Clam Blitz, and it's Mai.
Okay. No,
Never
it's
mind.
Museum.
It's Museum.
Interesting.
But it's still Clam Blitz. Look, a lot of ledges.
Makes sense with a pencil also.
Yes, and makes sense with the carbon. And makes sense
Makes
with
sense
the
for the heavy.
This honestly, okay, I rated
52 gal also loves it here.
Look, I'll be honest, we were talking about the more set objective maps, or the set objective game modes, sorry. But Daybreak did play pretty well and had their really strong pushes in this last Clam Blitz map. So look, maybe
they did push to 15 on Undertow, to be fair. It's just that Appreciating Pickups had pushed to 1.
Exactly.
They have not been doing bad on these modes. It's just surprising to see them not want to go to a more set game mode with how well they did on zones, quite frankly.
Yeah. And you know, you mentioned Appreciating Pickups having the counterpick advantage for the last map of the set. They can go to Splat Zones, which I think would be a really big mistake. They could go back to, or they can go to TC. So I think picking Clam Blitz here is quite good, because, I mean, you know that the last game, the game mode will favor you probably.
And we also have been seeing Appreciating Pickups run really short-range comps, so Museum is a pretty smart pick, in all honesty. It's definitely a very long-range focused map. Mini is about their longest range thing that they've been running. So that should be actually a pretty big setback for them on Museum specifically.
Yeah. Well, let's see how this unfolds. And
oh, I forgot Wellstring existed somehow.
Yeah, Wellstring does have quite a bit of range, but not as much range to contest that Snipe Rider at all. No changes in these comps, which
no, there is a change.
Expected.
Neon's on Frozen Pro.
What? Oh yeah, you're right. Oh wow, I'm blind. Thank you very much, Nox. This is why commentating is a two-man game.
Yes, exactly. Also because we need to breathe sometimes for some reason.
Yeah, well, some people don't. But some people.
I do. I'm not K-pop.
We were thinking about the same person, huh? Well, Daybreak opens up the game with a double, and they have a ball already ready to go. And these specials aren't really charged up yet, but they will be soon. And look, they're starting to walk into the enemy plat. This could be great, or it could be their downfall, because this Ultra Stamp here, getting a pick, no, never mind. Sloshing Machine down, Daybreak is ready to go here. Nox, I think this will be a push very soon. Never mind, I don't think so anymore.
But both teams are doing a great job here of really playing their space. Neither team is overextending much. Admittedly, Daybreak opened up way faster, able to get more control more quickly. Part of that's just because they can lay down so much turf so efficiently. Interesting choice there from the Heavy. Don't fully understand it.
Yeah, you call it interesting. I call it a mistake. I don't think that should have happened at all. Look, now appreciating pickups. Never mind, appreciating
Gilly's
pickups.
Got that. Don't worry about it.
If they wanted, but Gilly's doing the hero play once again. This player is proving themselves to be such an asset for Daybreak. It's crazy.
Yeah. One thing I've talked about a little bit with some other players is the fact that when you're the last player up, you become an anchor. Whether you want to be or not, it's that flexible role thing, not to go back to it, but we always end up back there. As Gillies manages to find the pick on the Ultra Stamp, that's absolutely huge. Push to 60, just the mini splatling up, coming out of respawn, and we are chipping away at the points here rapidly. Daybreak saying, no, we're at least going to game 5.
Yeah, no, the push to 36. If Oshama and Max Mix do manage to go back to mid, I know Gillis is hungry for these kills, but yeah, that's what happens. And this is exactly the same mistake that we identified in the previous match, is that Daybreak wanted to keep the push going for so long that they ended up losing out on the fight for mid. And then appreciating pickups kind of controlled the rest of the game, which is kind of what's happening here. Daybreak was in a great position to just back away and keep mid for themselves, but now they see themselves having to not only fight for it, but it seems like retake it from appreciating pickups control.
Yeah, which is interesting, but this time Gillies was still up. It wasn't a full wipe situation, so it was a little less impactful, and this map takes so much longer to move through that it hurt a lot less than on Scorch.
Yeah, definitely.
With I like those Tenta missiles.
Yeah, me too. Daybreak trying to move up with the missiles. Rumi here maybe has something to say about it. Nope, never mind. Nothing
Doesn't
to
get
say.
the option.
No option at all as Neon tries to push up with the assistance of the Heavy player. This is the only thing I don't like about the pro pick. Daybreak's aggressive power and pushing power just became a lot weaker. Yeah. While you're staring down a blaster that's running down your team and getting double after double after double, and only the Carbon is trying to shark on the enemy side. And
now, admittedly, quite good at that so far.
Yeah.
Actually has completely stalled out a push that could have happened there by appreciating pickups while 3 teammates respawn, to give a lot of credit.
Quite good, but Woomy doing a great job in trying to find and trying to just send that blaster shot onto these ledges where Gillies might be, and that's exactly what we saw happen just a couple seconds ago. It seems like both teams are fighting for mid, and now it's talking down Daybreak for trying to extend their push until next Tuesday, which I think would have been a mistake. But in reality, appreciating pickups can't really move up into mid. They do have 9 clams, which isn't what you want when you're losing.
Not with 30-ish seconds left in full
honesty.
Not
at all. When you're down 60 points.
Now, to be fair, in Clamblitz, it's always doable.
Yeah, it is, but they need to start making a play. But
Okay, a little less doable.
Gillies makes a play of their own. And look, I'm starting to lose out hope that appreciating pickups can pull back with only 15 seconds on the clock. It does seem to me, Knox, that we will be heading into game 5, which is very
Especially
exciting.
with no power clamps at the ready. No potential overtime even right now for appreciating pickups.
No, it's just game over, and Daybreak played that really, really well. Again, they were patient. They did make that semblance of a mistake that I thought was a mistake, but turns out no consequence at all.
No, it could have. If Gillies hadn't managed to stay up and hadn't found a double, it would have been heavily punished. You're absolutely right. It's just there was a lot of great awareness there from each time it was just one of them left up that person became the anchor then.
Yeah.
Which is a thing I don't know that a lot of people talk about or think about, but it's really what the flexible roles thing is about, of you do every job. That's Splatoon.
Yeah. I mean, it's very important that players learn that skill and that teams learn that skill. And we talked about adaptation, the ability to adapt given the enemy team and how they play and what their weapons are. But you also need to adapt to situations, as you're saying, and to what mistakes your team makes. If you notice one of your teammates just made a huge mistake, you can't be thinking, oh my god, we're going to lose this exchange. We're going to lose this fight. You just need to cover for it and find a way and get creative enough to kind of counteract that mistake. And that's exactly what Gillies did in that situation, as you've mentioned, Nox. Now, I want to go back to a previous point. Appreciating pickups has the so-called counterpick advantage in this last map of the set, but they can't pick Rainmaker and they can't pick Glam Blitz, so they must pick Zones or TC, which we talked about.
Zones would be a choice.
A choice, yeah. I think Daybreak is definitely has the advantage on either one of these two options that appreciating pickups can choose.
Well, and kind of on that note, like you were talking about, you saw something very similar to Daybreak's comp and Area Cup, which is an all zones tournament. Mm-hmm. Not as tested in other modes potentially. No,
maybe TC is going to be terrible for them, and we just don't know. But
I would be a little surprised if it is.
No, I don't think it will be. But if I'm appreciating pickups right now, I would be heavily inclined to pick TC.
Yes, I think it'll go better for them than Zones would. Admittedly, once again, not the highest bar to set, but an important bar. Mm-hmm.
Well, what else can they do? Because in the two... Oh, wait, Rainmaker...
Wait, are we allowed
just don't know the rules. We don't know the rules. Someone get us fired.
Somebody get us fired, I guess. I don't... Low Ink must have changed counterpick rules since I last read them. That's what I'm going with. They change all the time, and sometimes I forget how to read, potentially.
Well... I feel like
interesting.
I feel like a fool.
Oh, it's based off of what they won last. I see.
Oh, right.
It's not the old rules. It's new rules, Duro. We're in the past again.
Oh, God. Nox.
We're too old for this.
Get us fired.
Get us in the retirement.
Jesus. Get us in Humpback Pump Track. Public execution. Right in the middle on the Rainmaker shield.
Not to talk about Toxic Mist again, but to talk about Toxic Mist again. This is the Toxic Mist Rainmaker map in my mind. What, you're gonna push through elbow? With what?
Yeah. That choke is... I'm thinking about it. I'm thinking about the dimensions of it, and I'm pretty sure that's the exact radius. It's Toxic Mist-sized. It's the exact radius of the mist. So yeah, I think if appreciating pickups can do what they did in Undertow Spillway and kind of have that Hail Mary push where they just have an insane push to one or even knockout, because I would say Humpback Pump Track is a lot more prone to knockouts in Rainmaker than Undertow is.
It can. It's either a knockout or they push to 60 and no further.
Exactly. And I don't know. My money right now is on Daybreak. I don't want to curse them or anything, but let's see what happens.
I mean, the Toxic Mist and the Wellstring is actually kind of a nasty combination to have to push through here, as long as appreciating pickups doesn't get picked off, quite frankly.
interesting choice to keep the pro over the 52 gal.
Yeah. Especially on this stage.
Yeah, exactly. I think maybe they want to leverage on the missiles to push a lot more than the killer whale, as the stage is a lot more round or curvier, I guess, than the maps that we've seen. But I'm not too sure. Let's see how it goes. As appreciating pickups will be the first one to get a push going. Maybe Gillies can punish this push, but no, they broke through the checkpoint quite fast, and that's great to see.
It is, especially because the Wellstring had the common sense to really back off there, which is fantastic. Really going to allow them to set up this choke exactly like we were talking about, with that Toxic Mist, with that point sensor. Not going to let Gillies get away with anything. But their Toxic Mist player has gone down. That should make it so, in theory, Daybreak can move forward. Because the point sensor doesn't actually slow you down. It just annoys your carbon specifically.
Yeah, a bit of a waste when it comes to specials from the side of appreciating pickups there. We did see the Ultra Stamp just getting thrown out before the enemy team even started pushing, and now they might be getting punished for it because Daybreak with these missiles are going to start getting a push going, and the Zimmy getting just picked off as well as the blaster. Neon goes down,
Just
so
the
does
Wellstring.
Oshama. Okay, that's a start. But they did lose lead. It's not that significant. If Gillies manages to get more than one player now, okay, I was going to say I would be very, very angry at Carbon for existing if they manage
Yes, I would agree with you there. Wumi doing an excellent job here of poking around, managing to hit that direct, where if they hadn't, that Carbon was coming for them. And doing an excellent job of just kind of slowly creeping in here on this right side. The checkpoint's already cleared, so if they get momentum going, it can be very fast.
Yeah. No real specials online for either team. A lot of trades going out. It's kind of a neutral situation, even if appreciating pickups is trying to get a push going. There's not much happening for either team. Wumi sharking here. Maybe Neon can get the pick. There it is. And suddenly the map just opened up for Daybreak. Even if Gills is marked right now, they have a lot of room to swim. The Wellstring does go down as well as Neon, but with Max Mix picking up this Rainmaker, they will try to run it at least away from their own choke point and onto the enemy side.
Oh, don't
and
leave
only
it back
Gil is
there.
trying to bodyguard. Knocks. This is just kind of a stalemate right now.
It is, but also that Rainmaker just got put in a pretty bad position for Daybreak. That can be a very explosive push point. Luckily, their pencil's keeping a close eye on it, but that's a really risky spot to leave the Rainmaker in. It would deeply worry me personally if I was having to play with that.
Well, I wouldn't be worried if my Carbon is just running at the enemy team and
That's
getting a
fair.
double and forcing the sloshing machine to back away. Suddenly Daybreak finding themselves again in a great position to just hold the Rainmaker and try to get a push going from this right side. And it feels like Gillies is always the player to make these openings, because what seems to be a closed door for Daybreak suddenly just gets burst open by this Carbon player single-handedly. And it's great to see that they know when to push in and when to back out, because if they pushed in right there, Oshama definitely would have gotten picked off. And suddenly they're fighting, they're trying to stay alive, and they burned a lot of seconds there, which is very, very important.
Stalling is one of the most important things in Rainmaker. In a lot of ways. And in that case, stalling looks very aggressive, because every moment where you have the Rainmaker is another second the other team can't push, is another second where they're wasting resources trying to get at you, whether the resource be time or specials or even just ink. And Juice is just really trying to help paint an establishment here to get appreciating pickups another chance at a push.
Yeah, I will say though, it's very, very bold to be stalling with a lead of 45, and that was even bolder. I'm not sure I agree with that. And suddenly appreciating pickups. Ooh,
Neon's making it work though, barely.
Okay. That pick was great, and with Gillies sharking here, I do trust that Daybreak will hold it out at least until overtime. But this is a lot more dangerous than it should have been.
Yes.
However, Gillies here in a prime position for a play. Only one. So appreciating pickups can still win, but no, that was kind of an anticlimactic finish. I'll be honest.
Yeah.
But
There were some
They-
choices being made, to say it
Yeah.
nicely.
Yeah. Daybreak playing to their strengths really well, and I understand that, like we were saying, stalling is very important, and their comp is pretty good to stall with. However, that could have gone
The
horribly.
heavy didn't need to run at it there. I
No,
would have respected the
that
carbon doing it. I probably would have been
Same.
fine with the pro doing it, but the heavy shouldn't do that.
Same. That could
One
have
of your
gone horribly.
stabilizing weapons shouldn't do that.
However, the Rainmaker being just in range for the Snipe Rider from that slope area in the map really sucks for appreciating pickups. As they lose that game, as I said, in an anticlimactic manner, but that entire game was kind of slow and stally, and it seemed like neither team could really find their footing throughout those 5 minutes.
Yeah, it was interesting to watch. They're definitely very evenly matched teams. It wouldn't surprise me to see appreciating pickups make a pretty good losers run from here, in all honesty. It'll be interesting to see how far Daybreak goes. They definitely have played very well throughout what we've seen. Other than they've played very well except for their moments. They've had
Yeah.
some moments.